your part. And I will lift my hands to you. I will lift my heart to you. And I will lift my eyes to you. Only you. Only you. Come on, church. Clap, clap, clap. This is the part where you dance. Come on. Oh, yeah. Oh, only you. Let's sing together. Jesus, Jesus, you are my reward. All I'm living for. When mountains rise, when mountains rise, oh, I'll lift my eyes up and know you are God alone. Let me hear you say, I will lift my hands to you. I will lift my heart to you. I will lift my eyes to you. Only you. Come on, church. I will lift my hands to you. And I will lift my heart to you. And I will lift my eyes to you. Only you. Only you can let go away. Only you can make me brave. God, only you can let go away. Only you can make me brave. I will lift my hands to you. Come on. And I will lift my heart to you. And I will lift my eyes to you. Only you. Let me hear you say. And I will lift my hands to you. I will lift my heart to you. I will lift my eyes to you. Only you. Only you. Come on, church. Only you. Yeah, yeah. Alright, let's lift our voice and sing. Come on. I will lift my hands to you. I will lift my heart to you. I will lift my eyes to you. Only you. You sing. I will lift my hands. I will lift. Sound great. Holy. Come on, let's sing together. And I will lift my hands to you. And I will lift my heart to you. I will lift my eyes to you. Only you. Come on, with your hands lifted, let's sing. And I will lift my hands. Oh, and I will lift my heart to you. I will lift my eyes to you. Only you. Just voices sing. And I will. Only you. Yeah. Only you. You are greater than these walls I'm circling. You are stronger than this army that I see. You are bigger, oh, than the mountains that I face. And I would choose to only praise you. always good. You're good to me, and I will sing. Yeah. This is my song. This is my dare to worship you, even as these walls are standing there. And this is my song, and this is my prayer, and I will declare, yeah, that nothing is too hard for you. There's nothing you can't do. I'll keep my eyes on you, and watch these walls start crumbling. Watch these walls start crumbling. These walls, watch these walls start crumbling. Watch these walls start crumbling down, 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 down. Here we are.
Naririto kami.
Nandito kami, tumatawag sa iyong pangalan.
Nous voici, nous sommes des voix qui appellent ton nom.
We are the voices.
Bochi. 声音.
Koe.
Aswat.
오후.
Leo.
목소리들.
Voices.
We are the voices.
Calling your name.
Hucho ni Daming.
Kami ang mga tingog na natawag sa iyong pangan.
Here we are.
Nibilawa.
我们在这里.
Aquí estamos, somos los niños cantando su alabanza.
We are your children.
Ang iyong mga anak.
Singing your praise.
Praise.
Papuri.
찬양.
Nusabbihak.
Shosan.
With all we are, we're singing, come and lead us.
O mai ma tai tai tato.
Nitoripe bobong tiaje tierni.
Porque todo lo que somos es tuyo.
Because all we are
Is yours.
Here we are the voices. I could be one voice singing solo in the midst of a crowd of thousands. But when we join forces, multiple voices singing hallelujah. God just won't know what to do as we lift our voice. Love, we sing this song to you. Here we are the voices calling your name. Here we are your children singing your praise. But all we are, we're singing, come and lead us. 'Cause all we are is yours. Woo! All we are is yours. Oh, all we are. All we are is yours. Yeah. All we are. Yo. I could be one voice singing solo in the midst of a crowd of thousands. But when we join forces, multiple voices singing. Darkness won't know what to do as we lift our voice. Love, we sing this song to you. Yeah. Here we are the voices calling your name. Here we are your children singing your praise. With all we are, we're singing, come and lead us. Yeah, 'cause all we are is yours. Let's go, let's clap. All we are is yours. Oh, all we are. All we are is yours. Yours. It's all we are. Here we are the voices. With all we are, we're singing, come and lead us. Both hands lifted high, our hearts open wide. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Flags from countries and nations all over this world who join us this morning in worshiping with one voice the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and his name is Jesus. Make some noise!
Ang lahat ng kami ay iyo.
我们全人是属乎你的。
Tutti siamo le vostre.
O i tātou malawa o oeia.
Kay kami tanan ay imuha.
نحن لك يا رب.
At lahat kami ay sa iyo.
Bugbong si Yaje, si Renny.
Todo lo que somos es tuyo.
Okoa a Fiona.
Welcome to Emoji Story 2.0. With each round, I'm going to show you a series of emojis, and you will have 20 seconds to guess which Bible story or Bible characters from seasons 2, 3, and 4 these emojis represent. Enjoy. What's happening?
Moses.
It's a good thing I brought my miniature fire extinguisher. How is it still burning?
Moses.
Okay, I officially will stop drinking. My cow just died! What? Ah, get away from me! That's too far! Don't bother me! Where are these frogs coming from? Ow! It's hailing! Stop it! Oh, there's a fire! There is a fire! Who turned off the lights? What is happening? Good boy. That's a good boy. Whoa. Stop it. Why are you stopping and turning left and right? Stop it. Bad donkey. The story says that the donkey can see an angel right in front of him.
Don't take another step.
So Balaam starts beating his donkey. So God opens up the mouth of the donkey as Balaam is beating his donkey. The donkey speaks. Ouch! Why are you hitting me? OMG, a talking donkey! I come to save the day. No, not that kind of judge. What? Are you sure? I've got a gavel. Huh, slap, 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 slap. Just hitting bad guys. Slap. More like a Justice League Bible hero. This hero would save Israel from invasion. But once Israel was safe, they would do it again. They would try to imitate the nations around them, and sin would conquer them, leading to another invasion where they would lose their freedom, so much so that they would cry out to God for help again. Help! And God would show mercy to them again. And the judge would save them again. Huh. Slap, 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 slap. One day, he meets a Philistine woman named Delilah.
Hello.
Hey there, Delilah, what's it like in the Philistine city? I'm a couple miles away, but girl, tonight you look so pretty, yes you do.
I like your song and your hair. Can I have it?
What?
I want to cut it. I need to cut it.
What?
Come here. I'm going to cut your hair. Snip, snip.
Four. Are we up four? Our record is five. Our record is five. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, our record's still five. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our record's five. We just love that number. Here we go. We got a minute and a half to beat this number. We got one. That's also a record. All right, one. We got one again. Man, setting so many records tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we're gonna beat this. We're gonna beat this. Now let's bring it back here. Let's bring it back here. Awesome. 1, 2. So, hey, that was a good use of your head. Here we go. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, we got 5 again. Not bad, not bad, not bad. All right, who wants you? Who wants you? Who wants you? Ready? 1, 2. All right, we got 2. That was my fault. I'm sorry. Here we go. We kind of had 1. All right, here we go. We got 45 seconds. All right, help us faster. 1. We got 1. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4. We almost beat our record. 1, 2, 3. We got high. We gotta hit 6 at least. All right, here we go. We're gonna hit 6 at least. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. New record. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. New record. Thank you so much. Give yourselves a hand. Take a look at the screen, and the cow will make more sense. We promise. God, that tickles! That really tickles! Hear ye, hear ye! The 10 Commandments! Ah, man, we hate rules! Well, it's just 10, and they're pretty easy to follow, so... Rule number 1, don't worship any other gods. What about this cow? That's right, worship me, worship me. Put your hands in the air like you just don't care. Say hey, say ho, say hey, 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 say ho, 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 ho. We already started worshiping him. Why? How do you worship a cow? Like this. You just bow down and you say, holy cow, holy cow. That's ridiculous. You already messed up the first commandment. Rule number 2, don't make any graven image. You already messed that one up too with the cow. It's getting hot in here, so take off all your... Okay, rule number 3, don't say God's name in vain.
OMG.
Well, you messed that one up too. Let's just get through these before you break all of them. Keep the Sabbath day holy. Honor your parents. Don't kill anybody. Oh, whoops. At what point does that rule take into effect? Like, could we start in 5 minutes after I finish killing this guy? Seriously? How hard is it not to kill somebody? Next, don't commit adultery. Yo, too late. Don't steal. Yo, really too late. And don't lie. Yo, I never done that. No, man. I never lie. Are you kidding me? Don't lust after your neighbor's wife or covet any of his stuff. Hey, girl.
I'm married.
So?
Are you even listening to Moses?
Way to go, everybody! You broke all 10! I'm so angry! I'm so mad I could just... Moses just broke all 10 commandments! OMG!
Alrighty, good evening. How is everybody doing? We are so super excited that you all are here. We are really excited that Jason, David, and Allison are here, and we're gonna have so much fun this evening. You guys have had just a taste of what our kids have been experiencing every Wednesday night for the last 2.5 years. And the growth that we've seen in the kids has really been amazing. And so we're excited that you guys get to all participate in that with us tonight. If you are a first-time guest with us, we are really excited that you're here. There are Connect cards in the seat backs behind you. If you would fill that out, then we can stay in touch and let you know when our next events are coming up, like VBS. We are so excited that you guys are here. And so if you'll fill that out, then we can stay in touch. You will also see there's a merch table in the back as well as a love offering box. We would love to send them off with a donation. They are trying really hard to get the gospel message into schools all across our nation. And so we would love to send them with an offering to help them get that program launched. Without further ado, Jason David.
It's always a joy to deliver a bit of good news.
If anyone has an excuse to stop singing, it's Pastor Jason David.
Surviving tongue cancer. Tongue cancer spread to his throat and other parts of his body.
Pastor Jason David lost 60% of his tongue to the disease, and doctors could not promise that he would sing or even talk again.
The South Bay pastor is inspiring millions around the world tonight.
The song, These Walls.
The song went viral with more than 5 million views, translated into 12 languages and performed in 25 countries across the world.
People in at least 15 different countries are now singing that song. It's being translated into Chinese, Swedish, Tagalog, and Spanish.
This is my song. This is my dare to worship you, even as these walls are standing there. And this is my song, and this is my prayer, and I will declare, that nothing is too hard for you. There's nothing you can't do. I'll keep my eyes on you, and watch these walls start crumbling. Amen. Welcome tonight. Thank you so much for having us. You can keep the lights off if you'd like, make it more dramatic and thematic. Although it's nice to see your pretty faces. Thanks for having me. That was a really nice introduction. Normally when I go places, I'm introduced as the cancer guy. And not my favorite thing to be introduced as the cancer guy. Never wanted to be the poster child for cancer.
And but that's kind of most places I go. I'm known as a cancer guy. I was kind of known as the cancer guy before the My Tribe guy. I'd much rather be the My Tribe guy. But most places, I'm the cancer guy. And I've kind of noticed that we do this with people. We label them based on the thing that almost killed them. So we'll be like, oh, you know, so-and-so. Yeah, you know, he's divorced. Oh, yes, him. You know the family that lost their house in the fire. Oh, yes, we know them. You know the girl, her mom just passed away. Like, we label people, and we identify people by their tragedy. But I came to let you know that you are more than your tragedy. You are more than, hey, what's up? It's so good to see you. We got some friends here from My Tribe. How long did you drive this time to be here? Oh, not much closer. Last time they drove like hours to see us. It's so good to see you. Sorry, I have a little bit of an ADD problem, so I'm just going to be pointing out to people like, nice shirt. All right, but normally, I go places and that's what I'm labeled as, but I want you to know that you are more than the thing that tried to kill you. You are more than the tragedy that hit your life. You are more than a conqueror. And I am more than a cancer guy, because I've also been bitten by a seagull. And no one ever talks about that. I'm never introduced as the guy who survived a seagull bite. But if that wasn't enough, I've been sprayed by a skunk. And in retaliation, I ran into the house and I tried to find the closest weapon I could find, which was some avocados. And so I threw avocados at the skunk, and he ate them. And so I think I rewarded his behavior. Okay, so let's see. I've been bitten by a seagull. I've been sprayed by a skunk. I've been chased by a beaver. That happened in Colorado. I was chased by a beaver. I've been ambushed by a possum. When I was like 5, I opened up the outdoor closet door where the laundromat was, and this possum was just sitting there on top, and he was like, I'm Gollum. Like, it was really scary. And like, I thought it was a demon, just to be honest with you, and just terrifying, ugly things, but God loves them. And I've been tackled by a Rottweiler when I was in college. That was scary. I thought I was going to get eaten. And then I've been stung by a bee, many times, actually. But no one's ever found any of that to be buzzworthy. Thanks for that pity laugh. No one ever talks about that. They always talk about the cancer, but I really want you to know, like, I'm not just a cancer survivor. I survive all kinds of animals, and to prove my point, I want you to travel with me. So I came, I got here from San Diego, California. That's where I'm from. Not used to the humidity, so I'm probably going to take this jacket off in like 2 minutes. But I came from San Diego, California, and I want to now take you with me to San Diego, California. Is that cool? Like, we're not going anywhere, really, but we're on the screens. We're going to go to the beaches of San Diego, California. Now, my wife and I, we were newly married, and men, like, when you first get married, like, you're still trying to impress her, right? After about 5 years, you're like, she gets it. But at first, you're really trying to impress her. So I took her to the beach, and I rented a longboard. Now, if you don't know what a longboard... Can I come down here? Is that okay? Is that going to mess up your live stream? All right, cool. Hi, everyone who's watching live. So I'm at the beach. We rent a longboard, which is basically a giant surfboard for people who are not athletic. That's all. That's what it's for. So we rent this board, and we went out past all the waves. Now, it's very important that you know that we went past all the waves. Where did we go? I love it. Yes, we went past all the waves. Now, why did we do that? I was trying to impress her. But my wife, she was like, I don't want to go past the waves because I'm scared, like, we might find a shark. And I was like, babe, it's San Diego. All the sharks are locked up at SeaWorld, no parole. So we're good. And I thought you guys might get that joke because you have a SeaWorld. Some places are like, what? All right. So I'm like, don't worry about it. But we're sitting on the board. And my feet are just, I'm on the board, my feet are just dangling in the water. And she points down, and she yells, shark! And I was like, come on, baby. I looked down, and I saw a shadowy figure. Now, something I've learned, SeaWorld taught me this, dolphins kind of swim like this. Right? That's how dolphins swim. But sharks, they do this. All right? So when I looked at this shadowy figure, I thought, I got to analyze the movement, right? And it wasn't doing this. It was doing this. And I was like, that's a shark. So I get a little nervous, but the shark goes away. 2 minutes later, a shark returns with 2 other sharks. And they start circling the board. And I'm getting a little nervous now. Now, I'm still trying to impress her and be a man, right? So my feet are dangling in the water. These 3 sharks are surrounding our board. And as manly as I could, I was like, I'm gonna sit on the board like this. And I got her to do the same thing. And so now I'm trying to balance the board. She's screaming and shaking so bad that we're about to tip and fall over and die. And at this point, it would kind of be her fault, you know, because she's the one shaking and screaming. So I'm trying to use my weight to balance the board so that we don't tip and die. So I'm like, I gotta say something that will calm her down. So I said, babe, do not fear. God is with us. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it at all. I didn't feel God. I gotta be honest with you. I did not feel God. I did not see God. I did not hear God. I don't even know if God likes the ocean. Like, I mean, he does. But I didn't feel him in that moment. I just thought I need to say something that will calm her down. So I said, God is with us. Now, remember, we had gone past all the waves. As soon as I said, God is with us, I kid you not, a wave came out of nowhere and picked up our longboard and started taking us to the shore. And that was kind of crazy because, like, I wasn't trying to be a man of God in that moment. I was just trying to say something that, you know, something nice. Like a nice, you know how we have those nice Christian bumper stickers. We don't really always mean it, but we say it, you know. But, like, God was there. That's the crazy thing. The wave picks our board up, takes us all the way ashore. Now, this is San Diego, right? So it's tourists all over the beach. And I will be honest with you, I did not try not to hit them. If I can just be honest with you, I'm holding on to the board for dear life. Whatever happens next, it's what happens. I'm just trying not to die. Somehow, I mean, there were hundreds of people in the water. Somehow, as the wave brings the board all the way to the shore, the board avoids hitting any single person. And I am not athletic, so that's God. We get to the shore. My backpack, my phone is in my backpack. It's ringing. Ring, 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 ring. I get the phone out. And I'm like, it's my mom. I'm like, hi, Mom. She's like, Jason David. And that's when you know you're in trouble because David's my middle name. My last name is Slider, but it looks like a different word that I'm not going to pronounce. So that's why I go by Jason David. So anyway, so I'm sitting there. I'm on the phone with my mom, and she's like, are you in danger? I was like, well, we were just surrounded by sharks. And she's like, I knew something was wrong because 5 minutes ago, God dropped it in my spirit to pray for you. I was like, that's crazy. We looked it up. We got home. It was on the news that a bunch of 7-gill sharks, they're called 7 gills. They have 7 gills. I don't know why. I don't even know how many gills are appropriate, but these guys have 7. And that's a big deal to the scientists because they were like, we're going to name them 7-gill sharks. So there must be, I don't know, maybe they normally have 6. I don't know. I know nothing about sharks, except that 7-gill sharks will bite you. And they were warning everyone, stay out of the water. And I was like, oh my goodness. I didn't feel God in that moment, but God was there. And that's what I want to talk about. What do you do when you don't feel God? When you don't see God, you can't hear God? Because sometimes we feel like, man, I must be a bad Christian because I go to church and it feels like everyone else can feel God and they're lifting their hands in worship and they're like, they're feeling at peace and everyone else feels like they can see God and they trust God. But I'm like looking around and like, God, I don't feel God. I don't see God. I don't hear God. What do you do? First of all, I want to let you know that if you're in a season right now where you're like, I don't feel God. I don't see God. I don't hear God. I want you to know that does not make you a bad Christian. It makes you pretty normal because when you read the Bible in the Old Testament, you will discover Bible character after Bible character who went through a season where they felt like they couldn't feel God or hear God or see God. But God was always there. That's what I want to show you today. But before we move on, before I can show you that, before I can prove that to you, I have a confession I have to make. Really important. I always have to like start every service with this. I can't even keep a straight face. I used to be good at like making it sound really serious, but now it just makes me laugh. I'm just going to tell you what it is. This is my big dark secret, is that my wife and I, we got kicked out of Barnes & Noble, the bookstore. Do you guys have Barnes & Noble out here in Texas? Okay. Well, I found out something about them. This might blow your mind. It's not a library. They actually want your money. But they're coy about it. They try to make it look like, yeah, just sit here, read any book you want, but they want you to pay for the book. I did not realize this, so I took my wife there on a date because I was poor. And can I tell you how poor I am? Or was I would take my. Is it okay? Or I'm gonna tell them. All right. So I would take my wife on our first few dates. I'd take her to Chuck E. Cheese, and we're not kids, but I'd take her to Chuck E. Cheese for a date. Do you guys know you guys have Chuck E. Cheese out here, right? That scary robot thing? Okay. So I'd take her to Chuck E. Cheese, and then we would look for quarters that kids had dropped. And then we'd play air hockey. But the air hockey, we would literally have to play it like this, because the air hockey was for kids. Anyway, I've gotten better at dates since then. But this is not a dating seminar, so don't take any of these tips. All right, so I've totally forgot what we were talking about. We were at Barnes & Noble, so I took her on a date, and I was like, hey, we're going to play a game together. We're going to play Where's Waldo. Has anyone here played Where's Waldo before? So, okay, if you don't know what Where's Waldo is, this is Waldo right here. This is Waldo. He's this little cartoon character, and they have these kids' books, and it's in the kids section, which is probably why we got kicked out. But they have these kids' books, and it'll be a bunch of cartoon characters, but somewhere is a little character dressed like that, whose name is Waldo. And what I love about Where's Waldo is that the publisher of the book makes you and I a promise. If we read this book, I mean, we don't really read it, it's just pictures. My favorite type of book. But if you read that book, the publisher makes you a promise that if you look hard enough, you will find Waldo. And I love having that promise that if I search hard enough, I will find Waldo. In fact, that promise is so true that tonight we're going to play that game. If you search hard enough, Waldo came to church tonight. Just look around you. Just look around you. See if you can find Waldo, because I promise you, oh, what is this, Waldo? Waldo is right here in the audience. You just found Waldo. Waldo, everybody. Thank you, honey. That was my wife. But I love playing Where's Waldo. So I'm at Barnes & Noble, right? And I start with level 1. I beat it. Just too easy. It was like it was made for kids. I go to level 2, beat it. Level 3, beat it. Level 4, beat it. Level 5, kicked out of the store. So I'm standing outside with my wife, and I'm pretty bummed because I really wanted to finish level 5. So then I did something really dangerous. I went to the internet, and I looked up Where's Waldo. Free Where's Waldo games. And I found this website. This website that will take Where's Waldo books and scan the pictures and then put them online for free so that unsavory people, like who I used to be, would download them and not pay for them. So I did that. I was still learning to be holy. So I didn't pay for it, and I downloaded it. I started looking for, and I started with level 5. I started with the book that I had gotten kicked out. I started looking for Waldo. Can I tell you something? It was really hard. Like, I spent 2 weeks. This is how I spent my life. I spent 2 weeks trying to find Waldo, and guess what? I couldn't find Waldo, and I was confused because the publisher promises that Waldo's there. If you search hard enough, Waldo was there. So then I took it to my wife, and I was like, hey, can you help me find Waldo? And she's like, no, do something more important with your life. So then I went to my friends. They're like, hey, help me find Waldo. They couldn't find Waldo. I spent another 2 months trying to find Waldo. 2 months. I couldn't find him. I'm usually good at this game. So then I did some research. And you know what I found out? This website takes photos from Waldo's book. They upload them. And they Photoshop Waldo out of the picture so that idiots like me will waste our entire life trying to find Waldo. Waldo's not there. He was never there. He's not going to be there. And sometimes I feel like God has been photoshopped out of my life. My pastor tells me he's there. If you search hard enough, Jason, you're going to see God moving. And I'm looking, and I'm searching, but I don't see God. And I've been praying for years, and I don't feel God. What do you do when you can't feel God, when you don't see God, when you can't hear God? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. What do you do when you feel like God's not there? I want to tell you one of my favorite stories tonight, one of my favorite characters. It's Moses. And I want to talk about Moses tonight because he has this moment where he feels like God has given up on him. He has this moment where it feels like God's not there. From what he can see, he doesn't see God moving. It all begins when he comes face to face with Pharaoh. My cow just died. What? Get away from me! That's too far! Don't bother me! Where are these frogs coming from? Ow! It's hailing! Stop it! Oh, there's a fire! There is a fire! Who turned off the lights? What is happening? I can tell you. Who are you? Now, this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down. And I'd like to take a minute, can you even believe it? How I became known as the Fresh Prince of Egypt. I like to call him the Fresh Prince of Egypt. Before the Fresh Prince started slapping people on stage. But, is that too soon? I like to call him the Fresh Prince of Egypt. And Moses comes face to face with Moses. Now, God calls Moses, and I love Moses. I connect with him because did you know Moses had a speech impediment? And that's what I have. I have a speech impediment. And so I connect with Moses because, he couldn't talk very good. He had a stuttering problem. And yet, God chooses him to deliver the people of Israel out of slavery in Egypt. And so Moses brings these people out of Egypt, out of slavery, and he's taking them to the promised land. It's very exciting. Taking them to a promised land. That's right, promised land. He's taking them there. They're leaving their past in slavery. They're headed to a new home, a new future. Super exciting. One problem, apparently none of them can swim. So when they come to the Red Sea, they feel stuck. They don't got a boat, not a raft, they don't float, I don't know. So they're stuck at the Red Sea, and they can't move forward. The other problem is Pharaoh changes his mind, and Pharaoh's army begins to chase them, so they can't go forward, and they can't go back to Egypt in slavery, but they also can't stay here because Pharaoh is coming to kill them. So you can't move forward, you can't go back, you can't stay here. That's a dilemma. What do you do? Where do you go? Have you ever been stuck between your future and your past? You're like, I can't move forward, definitely can't go back, and I can't stay here. I want to move forward, but there's something stopping me from moving forward. Have you ever been stuck between your future and your past? For many of us, that happened with COVID, with the pandemic. Like some of us in our marriage, we were making a lot of progress. Like, our relationship, our husband and wife, it was getting a little better. And then you were stuck inside 24/7. And all that progress you made just went out the window. You know what I'm talking about? You don't shake your head, but we kind of know, right? Like you had been making some progress. Some of us, we had like a business. It was finally getting going, momentum, and then boom! I don't know how it was out here, but in California, like everything shut down. People lost businesses, like stuck where you can't go forward, but you don't want to go back, and you can't stay here. Moses is stuck. And you know what happens in that moment? You know what happens? Just what Moses needed. All the people of God start complaining. Now, can I just tell you something that every pastor wants to tell you but won't tell you? Was that a yes? Okay. Did you know Moses wanted to quit ministry many times, not because of Pharaoh, but because of God's people? The number one reason why pastors quit isn't because of Satan. It's not because of the enemy. It's because God's people start sounding like the enemy. See, Satan's called the voice of the accuser. And yet it's often God's people who are the ones whose voices sound like his. And so Moses has to deal with this. This is not a good time for him, by the way. Not the best time. But God's people gather around him and they say, Moses, what are you doing? Why did you bring us here to die? Was that your big plan? By the way, there's never a moment where they say, hey, Moses, thank you. We used to be slaves. I used to be getting beat in the back. And this is kind of nice. It's ocean view. No. They're all angry, thinking we're going to die here. They start complaining. And Moses, he gives a great speech. A great speech. He says, and I'm going to paraphrase. He says, do not fear. God is with us. But then, and this is where you gotta, when you read the Bible, don't read it too fast. We miss some great stuff. Sometimes we read the Bible like it's a to-do list. Like, all right, check, read it. Don't know what I read, but it's in there. But it's like, but is it? Because when you read this story too fast, you miss a beautiful moment of humanity for Moses. And it's this. I'm going to paraphrase. Do not fear. God is with us. Now, everybody shut up. That's in the Bible. It might be the Message, but it's in the Bible. Read it. Moses gives a great speech about God's faithfulness, and then he says, everybody shut your mouth. What a great way to end any speech. I would like to go back in time and take all the speeches you thought were great. Watch how better they get. Watch this. I have a dream that y'all would shut up. Like, what a great speech. I didn't know that speech could be better, but maybe Abraham Lincoln, 77 years ago, shut up, South. Now, I know we're in Texas. Is it okay if I say that? I was in California. We're not part of the fight. All right. Or ask not what your country can do for you. In fact, stop asking and shut up. Like, all right. Now, I know some parents, you might be like, he said shut up in church a bunch of times. Read the Bible. God says it in Psalms and in Proverbs and with, okay, I'm just quoting parts of the Bible right now. Moses tells them to be quiet. That's how frustrated he is. But then if you read too fast, you miss the next moment. Because Moses gives a great speech. And then in the very next line, God says to Moses, why are you crying out to me? So there seems to be a verse kind of missing. I'm not saying there is a verse missing, but there's this moment that you have to read between the lines, because here's what really happened. Moses says, do not fear, God is with us. Now shut your mouth. That's what's happening. He gives a great speech, and then God says, why are you screaming at me? So, have you ever had to tell your family one thing, but then tell God what's really happening? Like, I know we didn't like wearing masks to church, but most of us have been wearing a mask to church long before the pandemic. Because we show up being like, God is good. Everything is awesome. It's great. We go home and we're like, God, where are you? I don't see you. The publisher promised me. I read the Bible. The publisher promised me that you would not leave me nor forsake me. The publisher promised me that when I search for you, I would find you. But I don't feel you. I don't see you. I don't hear you. Have you ever had to tell your kids, like, we're fine? You ever had to tell your spouse, the finances are fine? Help! Saying one thing, but telling God what's really going on. So God says to Moses, Moses, what's in your hand? And Moses is like, oh, yeah, I got this cool Gandalf stick. Now, this thing is really tiny. Let me explain. This is half of the stick. The other half is back in San Diego. Apparently, United Airlines, they won't let me bring the whole stick. Couldn't fit it. So just pretend that this stick, you know. All right. Okay, are we cool? All right. This is travel size, Moses' staff, travel size. God says, what's in your hand? And Moses is like, oh, I got this stick. So then Moses goes up to the Red Sea, feeling pretty confident. Because this stick, you know, some cool stuff has happened, right? One time he went like this, and it turned to a snake, right? And it was like, and then it like 8 other snakes, which is like gross and kind of cool. And I always wondered, like, okay, it's when 8 other snakes and turned back into a staff. I always wondered, like, was the staff, like, bigger afterwards? Like, did it, like, that's crazy. All right? Another time, he takes the stick and he puts it in the water and it turns to blood. Also gross. A lot of gross miracles, to be honest, with that stick. But Moses takes the stick that God gave him, walks up to the Red Sea, and he goes, This is the moment where, are we good? Okay. It's all cool. It's all good. You remember? Yeah, it turned into a snake. Remember that? That was scary. Okay. Aaron, stop. All right. That's it. That's his brother. Maybe it's only because I brought half. Maybe it's upside down. God, nothing's happening. Okay, maybe I'm supposed to say like a word, you know. Shazam! Wakanda forever. Like what? Nothing's happening. And here's where Hollywood gets it so wrong. Besides like Harvey Weinstein and like everything else. Here's where they get it so wrong. Have you ever seen a Hollywood movie of Moses? Raise your hand if you've seen a movie of Moses. Maybe it was Charlton Heston. Maybe it was that really great cartoon. Maybe it was the weird one with Christian Bale. All right, so like every time, and even with Christians, to be honest, it's not just Hollywood. Even when Christians make movies and cartoons about Moses, everyone that I've seen has gotten this part wrong. What happens is we get so lost in the visual effects, the special effects, that we actually preach a lie. This is what happens. In the movies, Moses walks up to the Red Sea. Music is building. Boom, boom, boom. He grabs the... well, that's not what happens. He grabs the stick. He goes up. And then he's like, boom! And then boom! Big explosion. Water's blowing up. Jellyfish are flying and probably dying. And just so epic, right? The water immediately just parts. And it's so epic. He's standing there and the water's like... You know, and it's like, wow, that's so cool. That's not what happened. That's not what the Bible says. Here's the crazy thing. Here's what really happened. Cricket, 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 cricket. Come on, God. Nothing happens. See, the problem is when we get our theology from movies, we get mad at God. Because we're like, God, when Moses prayed to you, you immediately parted the Red Sea. I've been praying to you. Nothing's been happening. And it's like, well, actually, God didn't immediately part the Red Sea. Let me prove it to you. Let's look at Exodus chapter 14. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea. Okay, now think about this. Maybe if there was a moment where Moses thought, maybe God didn't, when God said, what's in your hand, maybe he didn't mean the stick. Okay, maybe I was supposed to bring something else. All right, let's see what we have here. Let's see what we got. All right, let's try this. All right. Nothing's happening. All right, how about this? Hook smash! Nothing's happening. Baby Yoda? Well, no? Okay. Thor's hammer. By the way, this is also travel size. I have a much bigger hammer, and I have a much bigger Yoda. Couldn't fit it. So this is travel size Thor's hammer. Nothing, everything that Moses tried to do. Oh, I also have this Moses beard. Kind of forgot to put that on. Everything that he tried to do didn't work. And here's why. Moses stretched out his hand over the sea. And all night, everyone say, all night. All night. All night long. All night. All night. All night. I want you to get all night. No movie, no Hollywood movie has ever done this. You know how accurate the movie should be? The movie should be like 12 hours long, and 8 of it is just Moses standing there confused. That's how the movie should be. All night the Lord drove us. It wasn't immediate. I want you to get that. It wasn't suddenly. It wasn't immediate. All night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong... Everyone say east. That's crazy. Once again, if you read this story too fast, you will miss an amazing, important moment. East wind. That's not just randomly placed there. There's a reason the Bible wants you to know it's an east wind. That's a big deal. I know you're like, what is this east? Let me show it to you. Let me show it to you. I brought a map. All right, this is a map. You got Egypt. You got the Red Sea. You got the Promised Land. Let me show you Israel's route. Israel is trying to get from Egypt across the Red Sea to the Promised Land. Now, let me show you which part is the west and which part is the east. West side, which if you're in California, can't say that too loud. Or actually, you can't say east side too loud. Well, if you're in LA, you just really shouldn't say anything. West side's right there. Then you have the Red Sea. Then you have the east side. Let me show you where Israel is parked. They are parked on the west side. Everyone say, west side! Don't say that in California. All right. Everyone is parked in the west side. But the Bible says that the wind was blowing from the... All right, I'm about to be a weatherman for you. Watch this. We have some winds and currents blowing from the east. Let me show you right here. I'll take a look at this map right here. We have some real big gusts coming through from the east side, coming across, come to the west side. Here's what I want you to get. The wind is blowing from the east towards the west. Have you ever had a hot cup of coffee and you had to like blow on it? I love that you raise your hand. Like the adults didn't raise your hand, but you were like, I have had coffee. They won't admit it, but I've had coffee. As they were blowing, you ever have to like, maybe you have a hot soup or a coffee and you blow on it? When you blow, which way does the liquid part? It parts away from you. So perhaps if God is blowing from the east side, then the Red Sea is parting on the opposite side. Has God ever done a miracle for you the wrong way? Like, God, I prayed for a husband, but him? Has he? That was some like real authentic laughter right there. Has God ever answered your prayer the wrong way? Or maybe in the wrong time? You're like, God, I need you to do this right now, and in this particular way, and then it didn't happen like that. And then you were like, oh, my bad. Thank you, okay. And then you were like, kind of frustrated, like, God, why didn't you do what I asked when I asked? Here's the thing. If God always did what you wanted when you wanted, then you would actually be God, and he would be your slave. He would be your genie. If God did what you wanted when you wanted, then he's not actually God, and there is no trust and faith in the relationship. God answers Moses' prayer, seemingly in the wrong way. Moses is standing there. Oh, I threw it way over here. Sorry, 1 second. Moses is standing there, praying for a miracle, hoping that the miracle will happen right now, right at my feet. But God takes all night from the opposite side. Potentially, Moses can't even see what God is doing. So from Moses' perspective, God is doing nothing. He can't feel God. He can't see God. He's standing out there like, and nothing's happening. God's moving, though, but Moses can't see it. And sometimes when you can't see God moving, you assume that he's not. It'd be very easy for Moses to assume God's not listening to me. God left me to die. God told me to bring everyone out here, and then he just disappeared. I guess God can swim because he just left us. We're stuck here. I want to tell you that sometimes just because you can't see God moving doesn't mean that he is not moving. In fact, God was moving all night on the opposite side. Why? Why would God do that? I don't have time to break it down all the way, but just to give you a quick answer, it has to do with patience. Because sometimes you and I will rush the miracle. If he parts the Red Sea right at their feet, they're running. You know, those people were so full of panic and fear. As soon as they saw that water opening, they're running into mud, just thick mud. I believe that God was allowing patience and a waiting period to happen so that by the time they would cross, the Bible says they crossed on dry ground. Because otherwise, perhaps they would have rushed the miracle. God has his reasons. There's a reason for the waiting. There's a reason for the patience. Just because you can't see God moving doesn't mean he's not moving. You see, the publisher promised us in Jeremiah, just like those Waldo books, in the book of Jeremiah, he says, you will find me when you seek me, when you search for me with all of your heart. You will find me. God is there. God is moving. Just because you can't see him doesn't mean he's not there. And I can tell you, I live this firsthand. And as we bring this night to an end, I want to tell you a little bit about my story. See, a few years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 4 tongue cancer. This is me in the hospital. And I should have died. I had stage 4 tongue cancer. And at first, they removed 20% of my tongue and half of the lymph nodes in my neck. And they said, we think you'll be fine. A couple months later, the cancer returned. It returned so fierce. It was spreading to my body that they had to operate. They said, we don't operate soon. It's going to be too late. You're gonna die. So they removed another 60% of my tongue. And that's why I have this lisp. That's why I sound like Sid the Sloth from Ice Age. I'll prove it to you. They left without me. They do this every year. Why? Doesn't anyone love me? Isn't there anyone who cares about Sid the Sloth? So there you go. I did not sound like that before cancer. They removed 80% of my tongue. Told me I would never sing again. Told me I would never preach again. I'd never talk again. There was a moment where we thought I wasn't going to walk again. I couldn't eat for 9 months. I lived on a feeding tube. I just talked gibberish. And I just felt hopeless. And I got to be honest with you, in that moment, there was a moment where I woke up. It was from a 15-hour surgery where they had just finally, they took this piece of my arm. If you come up and you want, you can see it after the show if you want. They took this whole chunk of my arm and made a new tongue and put it in my mouth. Crazy. So what they can do is crazy. Some people say, they talk with their foot in their mouth. I literally talk with my arm in my mouth. It's amazing. It's amazing. They made this new tongue, and So when I woke up from the surgeries, it was so swollen. And I know there's kids here, so I'm not going to go into all the graphic details, but basically there came a moment where I could not breathe through my mouth or my nose or my neck, and every 5 minutes I would start suffocating, and they would run in, and they would have a little vacuum, and they'd put it down my trach, and then they'd pull it out and get all the stuff out, and just so much just constant suffering and fear. I got to be honest with you, in that moment, I did not feel God. If I can be totally transparent with you, you know what I felt? I felt fear, panic, confusion, anger, doubt. I felt all of those feelings, but if I'm being totally honest with you, I didn't feel God in that moment. In fact, it got so bad that there was this moment, and I'm going to spare you some of the details because I know this is like a full family event and there's kids here, but there was this one moment. I hadn't slept in 3 days, and my body was just reacting to everything that was happening, and there was this moment where I was laying on the bathroom floor, sitting in my own waste, covered in my own blood and vomit and mucus, feeling, I've never felt more like less of a man, didn't even feel like a human, just in so much pain, wanting to scream, but I couldn't scream, just angry and scared and panicking, and nurses are having to wipe me down. You just feel like just a thing. You don't feel like a human. And in that moment of so much pain, I knew I hadn't slept in 3 days, and I wanted the pain to stop. And I had simple math in my head. If I end my life, I won't hurt anymore. So I start looking around the room for a way that I could make that happen. But I didn't want to find something sharp because I was tired of being poked. I was tired of every 15 minutes the nurse coming in and poking me and trying to find the vein and take 10, 15 pokes before she could find it. I was sick of it. So how can I end my life without hurting myself? It's very hard. I did one of the worst things you can do. I went on Google. I typed easy ways to die because I was done. I'm not going to speak again. I'm not going to sing again. Because of my arm, I can't play piano again. And those are, by the way, those are only 3 things I'm good at. You can ask my wife. Can't cook. I can speak. I can sing. I can play piano. All those things are gone. So what am I going to do? I'm in so much pain, and I got this identity crisis where I viewed myself as worthy based on the things I did for God, and not the fact that I was his child. So what am I going to do? So I'm planning to find a way to end it all, and my wife comes in the room. She was working 2 jobs at the time to pay for the medical bills, and so she'd wake up at 4 a.m., go to one job, go from that job to another job, come to the hospital at 9 p.m., stay with me till midnight, go home and do it all again. And she came that night at 9 p.m., she walked into the hospital room, and she looked at my face, and I was pale. And I know I look pale now, but it's okay to laugh at that. It's a white person joke. I look very white right now. I know it. I know I'm from California. You're like, are you sure you're from Alaska? I look pale now, but it was a different type of pale. It was a lifeless kind of pale. She walked in, she looked at me, and she knew, that's his giving up face. He's giving up. And she didn't know what to say. And this is what I love about my wife. In that moment, you know what she said? Nothing. And so here's the crazy thing is when you read the story of Jesus and his friend Lazarus has died and he comes to the funeral, Lazarus' sister comes up to Jesus and says, Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. You know what she's saying? This is your fault. She's blaming Jesus for her brother's death. And you know what Jesus says? Nothing. Jesus wept. You see, sometimes it's okay to not have the words to say. Sit and listen and weep and let people feel the emotion they are feeling, because what they are feeling is authentic. My wife didn't know what to say, and the truth is there's nothing she could have said. I'm a pastor. I knew all the right things to say. I was sitting there in the hospital bed debating myself. I'd be quoting scripture at myself. I didn't need her to say anything because there's nothing she could have said that would have made me feel better. But you know what she did instead? She sat with me. She cried with me. And then she got up and started to sing. And my wife isn't a singer. And I'm not, that's her, she'll tell you that. Like, I don't sing, I'm a teacher, I don't sing. But when words were not enough, she started to sing. And she didn't know what to sing. So she started just humming our favorite hymn. Come thou fount of every blessing. But she didn't know all the words, so she made up her own words. And I remember exactly what she sang. You are good, God. You are good, God. You are good, God. You are good. She starts walking around the room just worshiping. Because when I had given up, she didn't give up. When my faith was gone, her faith stood up and worshiped. See, I didn't need a sermon. I didn't need her to judge me or preach at me. I needed her to pray when I couldn't pray. I needed her to sing when I couldn't sing. See, that's why we come to church. Because in my weakness, you can pray when I'm out of faith. And you can sing over me when I'm too hurt to sing. I don't need you to say the right thing. I just need your faith to be strong while mine is in the gutter. She began to walk around that room and worship. I hadn't slept in 3 days. All the buttons were going off. I had so much panic, so much anxiety. And yet, as she began to worship God, for the first time in 3 days, I felt peace enter the room, as if it was like peace was a person who just floated into the room. And my eyes got heavy, and I fell asleep. And when I woke up the next morning, you know what I did? I made a list of everything I wanted to get done. Because I'm just bedridden, right? I'm stuck in the bed. So I'm going to make a list of everything I want to get done. Had like 10, 15 things. You know how many of those things I got done? One. I got one thing done. But you know what it was? I didn't give up. And that was it. It was the only thing I had the strength to get done that day. The next day I woke up and I thought, I didn't get much done yesterday, so I got to make a longer list. I got to catch up. And you know how many things on that list I got done? One. But you know what it was? I didn't give up. And the next day, I woke up and I only got one thing done. But you know what it was? I didn't give up. And that's the only reason I'm standing on the stage right now, is because I only got one thing done. And that was the only thing I needed to get done. Sometimes we beat ourselves up because we feel like I'm not getting enough done. I don't feel like a good mom, a good dad, a good husband, a good wife. I don't feel good enough because the dishes are piling up and the homework's piling up and all these things that I'm not getting anything done. But sometimes there are some days where you only need to get one thing done. And it's that you didn't give up. You're here tonight. That's enough. You know how hard it is to go to church on a Wednesday night? That's amazing. You are victorious. You had so many reasons to stay home tonight, and you showed up. That takes a warrior. Some of you brought kids here. That's so hard. They came, they're not naked. You brought them with clothes on. That's so hard. Man. You don't give yourself enough credit. You didn't give up. Sometimes that's enough just to get to the next day. I woke up and I didn't give up. I decided if my wife didn't give up on me and God didn't give up on me, then I'm not going to give up on me. And I decided, I'm going to sing again. I started doing speech therapy. And we had a bunch of people praying, and I was working hard, and I would weep. I would listen to my voice. I hated how I sounded. I felt embarrassed by my voice, and I would cry, and I hated how I sounded. I just sounded like gibberish. For 9 months, no one could understand what I was saying. But I didn't give up. I finally got to the point where I could sing as long as they had subtitles. So I asked my pastor, I said, hey, I would love to get up on stage, and I would like to sing a song I wrote called These Walls as a way of saying thank you. And this is the picture from that moment. And I said, I would like to sing this song as a thank you to my church family. And the song says this. It says, this is my song. This is my dare to worship you, even when the walls are still standing there. Inspired by what my wife did, she was inspired by the book of Joshua, where they worshiped God before the walls fell down. So I sang that song. It's called These Walls. And you know how, like, with churches, like, you know, people really come, like, once a month? So you know what I'm talking about, right? So then my pastor was like, hey, you know how, like, most of the church wasn't here today? Typical Sunday. So what we're going to do, I would like to post that video on Facebook for all the other Christians, just kidding, for all the other people who didn't show up. So we posted on Facebook, and we posted on Thursday, and by Sunday it's got 100,000 views. A week later it's got 1 million views. A week later it's got 3 million views. Ends up reaching over 6 million people on Facebook. Starts going viral. We start getting phone calls from news stations. 700 Club wants it. NBC, Fox, CW, TBN, CBN. They're all doing stories on it. Millions of people are seeing it. All of a sudden, we're getting calls from Korea and Japan and Australia and Sweden and Mexico and countries all over the world are saying, hey, can we sing this song in our church? Many of those countries say, can we translate that song in our language? The song ends up being translated in over 25 different languages on any given Sunday. There's a church in at least 50 countries who sing this song on any given Sunday. I started getting emails from people who had also fought cancer, people who one lady, she used to paint, and arthritis, she used to paint great detail, and she gave up because her paintings just kind of didn't look like her original art. But when she saw that I was singing, even with a lisp, she's like, I'm going to paint again. It might look different, but I'm not going to let this condition rob me of what God called me to do. There was a pastor, he had been shot in the arm. He used to lead worship, but now he can only play piano with one hand. But he's like, but I saw that you're going to keep singing, so I'm going to keep playing even with one arm. We made a music video about it. If you came earlier, you would have seen there was a man there with one arm inspired by that guy's story. In fact, everything you saw in that music video was inspired by emails we received of people who said, because of your song, I'm going to sing again. I'm going to dance again. I'm going to paint again. I'm going to dream again. I'm going to hope again. I'm going to live again. You see, when I was going through the moment, I didn't feel God. And it was in that moment that my wife worshiped and prayed and sang over me. And now I look back and I can see that God was moving behind the scenes the entire time. Just because you can't see God moving doesn't mean he's not moving. So I would love to end the service by singing the song with you tonight. We're going to put the lyrics on the screen, and as you get the hang of it, I would love for you to sing with me. The song is called These Walls. You are greater than these walls I'm circling. You are stronger than this army that I see. You are bigger than the mountains that I face. I would choose to only praise you. Oh, this is my song. This is my dare to worship you, even as these walls are standing there. This is my song, and this is my prayer. I will declare that nothing is too hard for you. There's nothing you can't do. I'll keep my eyes on you. I'll keep my eyes on you. 'Cause nothing is too hard for you. There's nothing you can't do. I'll keep my eyes on you. Watch these walls start crumbling down, down. Watch these walls start crumbling down, 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 down. 'Cause you are greater than these walls I'm circling. You are stronger than this army that I see. You are bigger than the mountains that I face. I would choose to only praise you. This is my song. This is my dare to worship you, even as these walls are standing there. This is my song, and this is my prayer. I will declare that nothing is too hard for you. There's nothing you can't do. I'll keep my eyes on you. I'll keep my eyes on you. 'Cause nothing is too hard for you. There's nothing you can't do. I'll keep my eyes on you. I'll keep my eyes on you. I'll keep my eyes. I'll keep my eyes on you. Only you, yeah. I'll keep my eyes on you. I'll keep my eyes. I'll keep my eyes on you. Only you, sing that with me. I'll keep my eyes on you. I'll keep my eyes. I'll keep my eyes on you. Only you, yeah. I'll keep my eyes on you. I'll keep my eyes. I'll keep my eyes on you. Only you. And watch these walls start crumbling down, down. Walls crumbling down. Would you just stand with me and sing? This is my song. This is my song. This is my dare to worship you, even as these walls are standing there. This is my song, and this is my prayer, and I will declare that nothing is too hard for you. There's nothing you can't do. I'll keep my eyes on you. I'll keep my eyes on you. 'Cause nothing is too hard for you. There's nothing you can't do. I'll keep my eyes on you. Here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me, yeah. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow. Let me hear you. Here I am to say that. You sound great. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. You're wonderful to me. You're wonderful to me. God, we thank you for your faithfulness. We thank you that you are there even when we cannot see you. You have not forsaken us. You have not abandoned us. And you made us a promise that we will find you when we search for you with all of our hearts. So may we never stop searching. May we never stop trusting. And may we keep worshiping even when these walls are standing, knowing that you are good, even when life is not. Amen. As Sarah comes, I just want to let you know, you can be seated for a moment. Thank you so much for having us. Tonight begins our first stop in Texas, in Houston, and we'll be going from here to San Antonio and Dallas and back to Houston and then on to Alabama. But we're on this tour right now because we're actually out trying to raise support for something that's really, really important, and it's this. I know that my voice sounds like a cartoon character, and instead of letting myself be silenced by that, instead I decided to become a cartoon character. So I'm now the voice of Lonnie the Llama, and he helps kids and families save the drama for the llama, and he teaches social skills and conflict resolution and character development. But here's what's amazing. Schools want him. We've begun making these videos and these apps, and public schools are bringing Lonnie into their schools. And we're teaching character development, but whose character? God's character. We're actually able to bring the gospel into schools because cancer took my tongue and made me sound like a cartoon llama. You see, the very thing I was embarrassed of is the very thing God is using to reach a demographic that has been impossible to reach. So whatever thing you might be embarrassed of in your life, that might be the very thing God is going to use. So don't let that embarrassment stop you from obeying God. Moses wanted to say no because he's like, God, I'm embarrassed of my voice. And God used Moses to do amazing things. So we have the opportunity to bring biblical teaching to 130,000 public schools. That represents 50 million people, 50 million kids and students. But in order to do that, there's a certain amount of money we have to raise to finish developing the app so that it can handle that many users. So we decided we're going to go on tour. We're going to reconnect with different people who we've met through My Tribe. And we're going to ask churches if they'll get behind us and donate to a cause that up till now has been nearly impossible to bring biblical teaching into our schools. And how many know, like, we need it. Our heart breaks for what happened in Texas. And our hope is that what we're doing with Lonnie would help kids never resort to that type of violence. We want to make a huge impact, but we need your help. So if you can donate tonight, that would be awesome. If you're like, well, if I donate, I want to get something out of it. You can buy a llama, You can also, we brought books and CDs, and Doctor said I'd never sing again. And this is 18 songs I've recorded since they told me that. And if you want, this has my story, and we brought these shirts. Anything you buy tonight, anything you donate tonight, all of it 100% is going to go to this mission. It's not going to us. It's going to go to this mission of bringing biblical teaching to public schools, the biggest mission field in America, and perhaps the most important mission we can be doing right now. Thank you so much for having me. This has been a blast. We love you. I'm going to turn it to Sarah. God bless.
So that is actually one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about, because our kids have been through the first season of the curriculum that he is talking about, and I've seen it work. I've seen our kids learn about loneliness and how to deal with that. I've seen them learn about anger and how to deal with that, and it works. And for our congregation, I know we're connected to Bain Elementary, and this is the type of program that would help us continue to serve that school in getting the gospel in the door the way we've been trying to do. And so this could happen not just for our local school that we sponsor, this could happen all over the country. And so it's a really important cause. If you feel led to give a donation or to purchase any of the really cool items, I know the llama and the cards that go with it we start every Wednesday night at Kids Club with it. And it's a great discussion starter, just helping your kids not just learn those skills, but learn how to apply them. It's not just in their head. It's something that they now know how to do. So Jason, Allison, thank you guys so much for coming. I hope you guys had so much fun tonight. Please stop by the table, visit with them, snap a few pictures. If you would like to write a check, please make it out to Llama Tribe. That is correct. Do not make it out to Jason, David, or my tribe. Make it out to Llama Tribe. There are some little cards on the chairs that have a QR code that you can just scan with your phone. It takes you directly to their donation. Or also we have the giving boxes if you would like to drop cash or check. And again, the check is to Llama Tribe. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night.